Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm here to, well, this process takes approval from APCA. So it's not like a business I'm gonna open just because I want to. And then the APCA will see the area, the business area, and then the persons who apply background, and then so you go through that process under them. So once we get the license, we have to take a training, we have to know who the supplier is, where to get it, and then whom to sell it. So, and also in that area, we secure the parking lot. If you know it's up behind the shrimp. So we secure the parking area, we put more cameras around it because it was asked by the process, and then they're gonna like give us a trained security people, trained registers, so it's a process. And then once we get approved, then if there is a further question, we have to go through the training too, because it's a medical cannabis.
Jeff Jackson, I'd just like to define the difference between marijuana.
Yeah, speak in the mic so they can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, so the difference between marijuana and cannabis is two different things. Marijuana is just a plant, but medical cannabis is plant and hemp. And the hemp is combined with the marijuana, and they have basically healing ingredients. And that has to be purchased from a cultivator that's familiar with the ingredients that need to be put into the cannabis. So it's just not marijuana. As opposed to you seeing or you driving by one of these establishments and you see CDC in the window, that's just basically marijuana they're selling. They're not selling cannabis.
Okay.
So that's the difference. So it's for medical needs. The only ones that can enter the establishment, you have to have a medical card. So you just can't walk off the street and come in here to make a purchase. You have to have a medical card, and the medical card would allow you to purchase the medical marijuana or medical cannabis.
Next to the shrimp boat, you know, where the building is on the back, we fence it. So, because there is a land next to it, if you remember, like 3-4 years ago, it used to be opened. And then because we start having a lot of trash finds and then a lot of unnecessary parking, crime around there, so where it used to be a trash can, there is a small grassland, right? So that grassland, the property is mine too. So where the house is on? No, before the house, there is a small.
So right now, let's just so that the Zoom meeting can hear. So right now, what is happening is they're showing the plans for where the parking lot is, where the business will be able to allow their customers to park during during the time visiting the business. We can send this out to community members after the meeting.
Yeah, so this land also is ours. Yeah, I know they built that area there. Yeah, so we're gonna clear this area and then we can use it to the $90.
Now, one of my main concerns about being, but I understand what you're saying about the medical, you see all the,
Can you talk into the mic so the
you see CBD, you know, what you were saying. But my concern is about being by the subway, and you're saying you all don't have security.
Yes.
And you know, the area across the street over by the gas station, it's a hangout. You know, so is it gonna increase on crime? Is it gonna have people coming? You know, that's a concern. The crime is a concern. It's already very hectic right there trying to get through. If people park to go in and get the food, they're not supposed to park there, correct? Right there on the side where they go get the food on Old Central Avenue.
No, I don't think there's one.
It's not supposed to be parking, but people are constantly, it's very congested there. So that's.
They have no other choice. But yeah, they gotta find choices, because that is a travel lane, that's a lane. I know, but I'm just saying, that's why.
So is the parking area for the cannabis, is it gonna be for the people at the plaza, or is it just gonna be for the people coming to purchase?
So.
Can you talk it to the mic so they can hear you?
So my concern is the strip, you all have owned that land for quite a while, and no attempts have been made before this to make that a parking area. Are you now only doing it because of this, medical, cannabis license you're trying to get?
No, that's not how it is, but before, we tried to make the parking space like available for the plaza. And then we start having trash because the community start bringing all sort kind of trash, dumping it in the parking lot, and then we start having a lot of fun. So we try to fence it and then open the gate. So when the gate was open, it was hard for customer to get in and out because the way they park, it was hard. And then we said, okay, but back then the street, you can park it on the street. So they said, yeah, like a year ago, 2 years ago.
Excuse me for interrupting. How are you permitting people to park on the street in a travel lane? How are you giving people that authority?
Because most of the time, the customers were busy or grabbing phone call. So our customer usually are like, unless they're elder, they're walkers. They just walk and then they grab and then they go. But when the parking lot was open, the customer couldn't get the access because any neighborhood or any people who goes to the metro, they park it the whole day. And then so even though the parking was open, our customers couldn't get the parking because it was full.
So are you saying that now that you have a new business there and your security, are they supposed to now mitigate that from happening? Because what's sort of preventing now?
Let me say this, so the parking lot is available for the, customers. So you can't prevent people from parking in the street on public space. So I'm saying, even though the parking lot is open, if somebody park on public space, we can't go out there and say, don't park it. So we're
That's
gonna
not
have a
what I'm
sign up,
saying.
we're gonna have signs up saying parking is available.
What I'm saying is, you mentioned trash,
Mhm.
you mentioned people were not, whatever you said about the parking lot.
Right.
What's gonna change that now? What's gonna keep people from putting trash? What's gonna keep all the things that you just mentioned, why you didn't open, why you closed the parking lot? What's gonna change it now?
The sign is gonna be available for people to park.
Yeah.
So you have a sign saying that people can park.
Okay.
Customer parking is available.
And will it be for? Well, that's what I'm asking next. Now, I walk that area. Rat holes are crazy over there. What are you doing to abate the problem with the rats? Because, yeah, what are you gonna do about that? Because people are gonna park back there and you have all these rat holes. What's gonna go on with that?
Now, we had an exterminator come by and we have a contract with the infestation contract, and I believe the commissioner and someone else walked the premise and they saw where improvements was made back there and they plugged up the holes. And when I said they, we talking about the company that we contract.
Let me correct that. So when are you talking about? When I walked through recently?
No, when you did the tour with Wyndham.
Okay. To be clear, when I did the walkthrough with the shrimp boat odor, that's who he's talking about. And I know the camera can't see me, sorry about that, but we specifically addressed a fencing area on the East Capitol side that was protruding into the sidewalk and stopping pedestrians from being able to walk through safely.
And also, I had addressed with him some foliage that was going into the sidewalk on the Central Avenue side. But I did not talk to him about the rodent issue. I have put in, request with the city to deal with the rodent issue on the public space side, but I did not address that with the business per se. I would like to give us a pause for a second because we do have NPD here, and there was a question or some concerns about crime in the area or the dynamics within that space. And so, again, I'm going to reiterate that NPD cannot weigh in on this matter as far as whether or not the business should be established there. They are simply here to make sure that we have a full understanding of what is happening within that space, crime and stats. And then I asked for him, Lieutenant Anderson, to go back 6 months because we know weather changes things. And so that from the time that the applicant has put in the request to have the medical marijuana dispensary until today. All right, so I'm gonna pass this over to, the mic will go over to him and then we'll come back to community concerns. And I'm also going to make sure that Commissioner Thompson-Wright, who is on virtually, has an opportunity to speak as well.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and online as well. So I did go back to, well, I'm Lieutenant Anderson, I'm with the 6th District. I did go back to August 1st and just pulled the crime stats for the immediate area. So I kind of centered the stats from East Capitol and Benning, and I tried to expand it about 2 city blocks. So north up to like Blair Street, going down to B Street Southeast, and then from 47th Street over to around Texas Avenue. So I kind of centered the stats around that area for the last 6 months. So over that time frame for the 6 months and in that area, there's been 1 homicide along with 3 assaults with a dangerous weapon and 7 robberies. So a total of about 11 violent crimes. And then as far as property crimes, there's been about a total of 30 property crimes ranging from 4 burglaries, 11 motor vehicle thefts, 5 theft from autos, meaning the cars were either broken into or had their license plates or tires or something like that stolen off the vehicles. And then there were around 10 thefts. So that could range from people stealing candy from the store and they reported it to taking your property from you or, well, not off your person, but like taking your property from, say, your purse or something that was sitting around. So that was what I got for that time frame in that area.
All right, I'm gonna open up real quick for Commissioner Thompson-Wright to be able to ask a question, and then I'm gonna bring it back to Lieutenant Anderson, if any questions for him about the data that he just gave us. All right, Thompson-Wright. I think I just requested for you to unmute. Uh-oh. Try it again. I saw you come off and then go back.
I'm off now.
All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just have 2 really quick questions, or it's sort of like a question and comment. So, I understand that you are applying for this license, but it seems to me that you are currently operating and making money illegally. So why would they want to grant you a license? Up until now, current. I noticed that you have 2 placards on your door, and NPD may be able to attest to this because I know they have cameras and also officers in the area. That door where you have the 2 placards, I come from work that way every night. I noticed that door is being popped open. There's lines, there's traffic. Cars have been pulling over, going into that door and buzzing that buzzer. If you're not licensed currently, like what are you all selling out of there that everybody's coming to that door? And you know, I see them walking from around the corner. You're actually, so why should they grant you a legal license if you're already operating illegally or whatever you're in there selling now? And the community is, I'm quite sure, well aware because the traffic pulls over on that side, as well as you see persons walking from the opposite side by the Benning Road Metro around to that door and ringing that buzzer and standing in, and somebody's letting them in. and they're going up there. I watched it. I pulled around to the Benco. I brought this concern up to Commissioner Nelson to see, you know, has she any other persons, but other persons have witnessed this door being hit, that buzzer being hit, and people going in there. This was not like this didn't look like workers. These were random cars pulling up. So if you're selling the marijuana illegally in there now, why should they grant you a legal license? Or you're gifting or whatever you're by quote calling it, but it's still illegal. Nelson, I can't hear her.
I just unmuted, go ahead.
Okay, depending on my awareness, so what you're talking, was it on the Central Avenue or on the East Capitol?
It was on Central Avenue side, like, so it would be that door where you had the two placards posted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
We put everything and then we're working upstairs with the camera system, with the counter and everything. So we're not selling any illegal because we have waiting for the inspection and then for the approval.
This is not an inspection, ma'am. Let's be clear. This is not inspection. Cars are not pulling over. Y'all not doing no work. These do not look like workers. Are these workers you're training in there? These are we need to be clear. You want us to be a good steward of the neighborhood, and you want to come in with a business that you want to have it to be legally. Illegally, y'all are selling something out of that because multiple people are not walking up. I rolled past and I tried to even snap photos of persons standing there, random people coming from around the corner by the Benning Road Metro and still coming in. So whatever you were doing on the other side, you've now brought it to this side. They know that what's going on, and I'm quite sure I'm not the only person who has witnessed this. I also know that I believe Commissioner Ruff even stated that they've seen multiple persons. Like, people are watching it. You just unconsciously think because nobody says anything that it's not happening, but you got something going on in there and it's not work.
Well, ma'am, as far as you making an allegation, I mean, so that's your perception of what's going on in there, but if you don't have nothing definite.
Okay.
to say
That's
that-
fine. You don't even have to comment any further, sir. If you're gonna think I don't have nothing against a business. I just want it to be, if it's gonna be legal, let it be legal. But you're doing something in there, and it's definitely not work. We're not stupid in the community. I mean, don't call a spade right in front of their face. But that's fine. You don't have to comment back about it, sir. But I just wanted to let you know that persons were watching to let you know, and it's not an allegation. Something's coming out of that door. So MPD probably will pay attention until they get this placard, this license in full effect.
Okay, so we want to, thank you, Commissioner Thompson, right? We will come back to this because I think there is something to be talked about in that space. But I also want to be mindful of our guest that has come here to answer some questions about the crime and the statistics in the area. And there is actually a chat question that is asking the police department if you could speak specifically to crime trends that you see around dispensaries in the DC area or any other nearby communities. But we will come back to that, so no, we will. All right.
I cannot speak to crime trends specifically for dispensaries in other areas. I didn't research that. And I can't go off of speculation. I wouldn't feel comfortable just giving crime trends for other dispensaries in our area. So,
All right, did you all hear Lieutenant? Yes, they heard you. All right, there's another question for Lieutenant Anderson. Let me bring you the mic.
Miss Natalie Green.
Hi, Lieutenant Anderson, Natalie Green, 60 CAC. Two. Can you speak to immediate crimes that happen in the area of the subway adjacent to the shrimp boat? Can you speak to that, please?
So the crimes that I did were, a block or so from that area. To shrink it down, I mean, I could shrink it down. I just gave it a broad area for 2 blocks in each direction. I was prepared to talk just about the metro area, but I can go down and shrink it down if you like, or if that would help.
All right, there was a request to shrink it down, the area, the radius of the crime, and give us some more information on that. I think there was another question in the audience. No?
Yeah.
Did you have, no? All right, oh, here's one right here.
Good afternoon, everyone. President of
Can you speak a little bit more?
Northeast DC. I am Reverend Darlene Green, Associate Minister of East Winship Baptist Church. And I am just listening and concerned if the licensing for this business is already in process. Why are we really wasting our time unless this licensing for this business can be revoked? Because otherwise, we are wasting our breath. We're trying to get this owner to understand that that type of business in that area is not needed. We know that, others know that, but the owners don't care about that because it's all about making money. So even if we hold these meetings, it's to no avoid, it's none effect because the process is already started. And again, if it can be revoked, that's a different story, but we're wasting our breath because there are so many other businesses that could be started there. We can have a nail salon, we can have a spa, there's cat grooming, dog grooming, we can have any other business there but that one. But there's a reason why they want that business there. And that is to make sure that our Black people, male and female, are still enslaved mentally through drug use. Because this medical marijuana, quote unquote, as they talk about, is really not helping those who are supposed to be using it for the right reason. So this is a business that we really don't need. And these are meetings that are really kind of sort of just wasting our time. Again, unless the licensing can be revoked or stopped.
You have a question for
And that's my comment.
We have Commissioner, okay, go ahead. Commissioner Ruff's gonna allow. And then we'll have Commissioner Ruff.
I would like to know why that location was selected for you. I mean, I don't know if this is the appropriate question to ask.
Talk right to your mic, baby. Talking to your mic, talking to your mic.
No, do you live in Washington? No. Okay, I would like to know why you want to have that business there. It's a simple question, just why that location? First, it's a legal medical cannabis. So I'm not like they're competing or doing extra things. So if people with a medical issue who got the approval to purchase that, so it's not wherever I go and buy it. So the APCA, the DC government are the one who got the approved one, and then the one with the person with a valid ID card, like it's like a Medicare. If you don't have Medicare, you cannot buy maybe medicine. So we're having that kind of business to make the safer community. So if you have the card, you can come and purchase. So on Mrs. Thompson, I think earlier on the Zoom meeting, she said that we're still doing the business, that there's still upstairs people happy buzzing or pulling the car. So on the East Capitol side, there is no parking lot, even though on the street, it's a busier activity. So we keep it open and then we cannot have a business over there because we have the card on the window. And then we're doing like, yeah, I mean, that's what I know. And then really answer my question. Why was that location chosen? Well, I got approved So this is a new, like, DC government make it, they want to make it legally. And then we said, since we have the property, and then if we bring this kind legal medical cannabis, which is the people who comes or who need it, they can use it, because I'll be upstairs with the shrimp boat business, and then it just walk
So the
away.
answer is because you already own that building and you're just expanding the ups. Let me just say this, I don't want you to think I am not opposed to this. I'm really not. I'm opposed with everything that comes with that business. I'm not opposed to marijuana usage, medical, or even for pleasure. That is not my issue, and I want you to know that very clearly. My issue, I've lived or been affiliated with that neighborhood almost 67 years. And, the strip club has always been an iconic location, Washington DC. And when I see what it has become, all the hands that have come through and taken over that business, it disturbs me that it is an iconic
No, I don't like that. They don't need to.
northeast. All you have to do is ask money. You know what shrimp boat is? Everybody knows shrimp boat, shrimp boat. But it is a slap in our faces, actually in my face, that that's what the shrimp boat has become. My 99-year-old mother worked there at one point in her young life. And to see that this is what the shrimp boat is becoming there, it's kind of disturbing. And I'm just wondering, why was the shrimp boat chosen for this business?
Okay, so it's a good question, because this is a new business. So I'm thinking like it might be as a pharmacy, because it's a medical, like, it's a new one, so I'm trying to bring what's new to the community. They're not giving license yet in the DC, but they're doing it in Maryland. So I saw it, and then I said, okay, so it's a safer neighborhood, Metro is here, like,
It's a safer neighborhood.
that area, in that area, I said safer means to come inside, or because we have the security, the parking. So I'm looking for a opportunity to see if it's help with the community.
So when you say that, and let me introduce myself to you. My name is Commissioner Ruff. I had the chance to actually meet your husband a few months ago. I came here to support Commissioner Nelson. So I am 71 compliant. I do have a card. I have an injury to my neck, rod and 2 screws. So even before then, I was smoking. So, don't feel bad for me. What I will say is that I am with all of my constituents, my neighbors that are in here, because they're not really constituents, they family, they're my neighbors. And so I agree with everyone in this room, but when you say about opportunity, I feel like this neighborhood is an opportunity for investment. So when we talk about facts, one of the facts is your husband got licenses in you and your mother's names to come in here and actually get the minority discount. That's the way I put it. The second thing is the OAG's office have been in conjunction with other DC agencies closing down illegal places that were on gifting status, because gifting is illegal here in the District of Columbia. And that is what the ice cream shop, the one that was downstairs on the adjacent side of Benning Road, which means you don't even have to show a license or nothing in there. And I don't went in there and purchased, so I can tell you I ain't showing no license. And I don't look that old, and I'm almost 40. The other thing is that you all are operating and still not fully supposed to be operating, parking on the curb and everything out there with the white vans on East Capitol side. Again, you gotta remember, this is our neighborhood and we ride through. But when I say all of that, I have to collaborate with my neighbor right here.
when I say that the shrimp bowl was another place and it meant other things, coming up. And my grandparents in the same house that I'm in, fighting for. I've been here since late eighties, 89. My grandfather dead and gone, buried, and my grandmother recently. So, you know, it's not saying that we don't want change, but what we do want is for y'all to do the right thing. Because when you come in here and you create an opportunity as an opportunist off of us, you mess it up for all the other people that do look like us, that are from here. Y'all not giving nothing back. You ain't saying nothing to the table, what you gonna do for the children. How are you gonna talk about if this is holistic? You already talking about this is a pharmacy. That is not technically a pharmacy. It's a cannabis business. So when you come here, and you just only see these little bit of people. That doesn't define the people that's online. That doesn't define the people that actually live here, that actually care, that maybe did not know about the meeting. And so I'm gonna be that voice right along with these other ladies in this meeting at MPD. Like, what you gonna do for the community? You bringing something here that really, I'm gonna tell you just straight up, the weed is trash. It's not even 71 compliant or anything like that. And I'm probably gonna get talked about. I don't care. Y'all can pass the message around. Oh, she was very loud in the meeting. She was very vocal. I am, because I live here. And like I'm like her, I don't really have a problem, but it's the way that you all went about it to come into the community. And to be honest, if I'm not mistaken, you and your husband live in Bethesda, right?
Yeah.
Silver Spring or whatever, but Mo County, y'all not from here. So which means you don't necessarily know what the community needs. And right now, or care, or what's going on. We have a Boys and Girls Club Center adjacent right here that the lights can't fully stay on because they don't have the money all the way. We have a shopping center right here that does not pay rent because they just feel like they put the blame on actual stealing, but everything locked up now, so can't nobody steal nothing out of it. Even the Kool-Aid to the black hair products are locked up. We have a library right here that needs a lot going on in there, a lot. We need programs in that library. We also have a whole East of the River shopping center that is empty, that needs economical development. But right now, I don't really think it's a focus on having a weed shop here right now. We just had cannabis down here. Cannabis made all of those great promises, and now that they're gone. And just to elaborate on that, they left because they actually sold the company to another set of two gentlemen who actually felt like that the rent was too high or the lease was too high to pay. So they moved to Northwest. We're not really looking for cannabis. We're looking for financial literacy. We're looking for economical development. We're looking for somewhere for our kids to actually be able to play and to grow. We're looking for sit-down restaurants. We're looking for coffee and tea shops. We're looking for life. We're looking to be vibrant. So as I stand here as a commissioner, I would be wrong to say that that is something that we should fully focus on. And then last but not least, and I'm gonna get off. Y'all own the shopping center down there on Old Central Avenue. So man, when you ask that question, what was the purpose? Because they got that 24-hour open smoke shop down there. And I pass through going through Larchmont all the time. Down to the laundromat, all the way back up to Marlboro Pike. And anybody will tell you, I'm out here in these streets and I'm still a mom, teacher, politician, everything. I'm out here. So when I see that, and I will give you all this, the young men don't hang out on the corner no more right there. And just to give y'all the FYI, where Valley's is, right before we get the Bill's Liquor Store, her husband owns that shopping center. Let's ask her the question of whose name is it in? They've been capitalizing over here in DC. But those same guys, they go in there and they hang out inside of the store. And again, it's a 24-hour open tobacco store. The things that DC don't allow, really.
So we'll,
Thank you, Commissioner Ross. My bad. No, you're fine. So You have your,
Yes.
all right, so we're gonna bring MPD back up. We requested for them to go into, and please sit on that because I'm taking notes and we will come back to the comments and questions. And I do want to make sure that we're being fair and that you're having an opportunity to respond to the concerns that are being addressed in the room. We have an hour, so my job will be to make sure that you get that time to do that. We asked for Lieutenant Anderson to give us some more specific statistics and data on that particular area, and so he is back up to do that.
Yeah, so I showed it down like you asked. So over the last 6 months, just in that actual area, which is like going to the gas station, the metro, vehicle shop center, things like that. So there were, out of the 11 violent crimes, 2 of them were ADWs that occurred in that immediate area and 1 robbery over the last 6 months. And then there was 1 burglary and 6 thefts in that area. So that were all the crimes for the 6 months in that immediate.
Okay, thank you. So stay there. Want to make sure I get you, these questions. There was a question here, dispensaries often deal with large amounts of cash and valuable products. Are there any regulations in place to ensure dispensaries are complying with safety and security standards to prevent criminal activity? What role does the police department play in overseeing these businesses?
So the police department only deals with crime that occurs in or out of the business. As far as regulating how they operate or how they store their money or anything like that, that is more for our APCA to actually regulate. We don't actually regulate what occurs or how the business actually operates.
All right, and then make sure I asked all the questions for you. Said you can't tell us about trends at dispensaries. Okay, that's what we have for now. Lieutenant Anderson, will you be leaving? Are you gonna stay in case anything? Okay, all right. So if any other questions come up for him, we will make sure that he gets them. There's a question in the chat and that we want answered. It says that your dispensary is opening up as a medical cannabis facility, but I'm curious, do you have any plans to eventually transition into a recreational model? If so, do you have an estimated timeline for when that may happen?
No.
Okay, the answer was no to that question. Let me make sure I ask all these. Okay, I want to go back to what Commissioner Ruff mentioned, and someone in the chat also asked this, and they asked, what are your plans in terms of giving back to the community outside of just profiting off of us? That's for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't give me the chance to think because maybe that's your homework. Thank you. So I will work on that. I'll think of something.
Okay. The applicant said they will think of something.
All right, let me give the mic to one of our attendees in person.
Natalie Green. That's very unsettling to me, that you have no idea what you can give back to our community. Commissioner Ruff gave you some ideas. She put some things out there. I have some too. This is very disturbing to me that you all are here. You're making plenty of money in the shrimp boat. We know that. It is busy all the time. And the prices are not cheap. Food is good, the prices are not cheap. And now you're proposing to have a new endeavor, and you have no idea what you're going to do for the community. What that says to me, a long-standing homeowner here, is that you are here just to make your money and head out of Dodge and get back to Montgomery County. You are not invested in us. That is what we are all opposed to. Am I right? Thank you.
Well, let me just say one thing. I'm like the devil's advocate. I'm playing both sides here. Sorry, y'all. I think it's kind of unfair to her to come up with a solution right now. I mean, I think she should have been. This is something she should have been thinking about, but I also think because we brought all the stuff to her today, I think she should have time to come up with a plan and something in writing and not just say something.
We need something conclusive, what you plan to bring to our community. Because I know this, you're on the spot right now. I think you're on the spot. I think you could come up with something and
Yeah,
present that to us.
so this is the first time we meet. You see me as a community, so this is the first time. I might see you at Shrimboat or in the neighborhood where I'm parking, or we might greet each other. But as a community, to hear you out or what's going on with the commissioner, this is my first experience being in this community. So once I heard what's going on, and then we can work out, because I never been in this meeting before. So this is the opportunity for us to meet and see what's going on so we can work it out. You cannot just judge me because you saw me today and then I don't have the answer yet, because since it's new for me to meet all of you. So I came here as
Hold on, let her finish.
I come here as a new business opportunity to discuss with you, even though they give us, they process the license, so we don't know the business too. But I know what's going on the street, or I hear news, or I know whether I live in Montgomery County or whether I live in Canada. So as a human, I know what's going on. So I have like a feeling too, as a human. So whatever is going on, we thought this is a new business, this is a legal business, so let's see if it's help. So I didn't take the training about whether it's cannabis because I'm not a smoker, and then I don't know. I know the smell, what's going on the street, right? But I don't know how they use it, why they use it. So if this is a legal thing that the DC government or whatever they get it, they call it hemp or what, you know? So they will give me a training if I get approved.
Okay, let me chime in. This is Commissioner Nelson. I know the camera can't see me, but I want to say a few things because I want to be clear about a few things. The first piece, I want to make sure that I address Reverend Green's comment about why you're here. You're here because these comments, the concern does matter. We are currently in the middle of a process where they have not yet been granted the license because the community has an opportunity to weigh in on the suitability of this business. I have voiced concerns as your commissioner. However, I can only do so much. The work is really done on the ground from community members such as today, which I'm very grateful for the people that have come. From the Zoom to the in-person, because this is what they need to see, which is a community that actually cares about the businesses that are established in our community. All right, so I want to be clear when I say that this meeting absolutely does matter. It is what the business owner needs to hear and see, that there are community people who are members who do care, and you cannot just come in without hearing some of our concerns, right? So I just want to make sure I address that, all right? Second piece I want to address is that this is the first time that I've met you, Ms. Leon, in person. We have met virtually. I've never met you at the shrimp boat. I've met your husband at the shrimp boat. We discussed there was some kind of miscommunication between your representative, your husband, and you on why you were not present there, but Commissioner Ruff and I were there, right? So let's be clear about that. We also have invited you to an ANC General Commission meeting on November 18th, where you came and you were not feeling well, to my understanding. We did not know that. We found out that day. I'm gonna come in front of the camera, there's a request. We did not know you weren't feeling well that day, but you showed up. So I'm gonna say, thank you for coming even when you weren't feeling your best. But you did hear in that meeting concerns from the community about this business then. I have been in mediations and have to take off of work, my personal time, to participate in those mediations. And I've explicitly expressed concerns, from parking to loitering, which is not illegal, but it's still a concern for the people who are in the community, to littering, to making sure that you give back. Your husband explicitly said that you all had intentions on giving back. This is not the first time, and Mr. Jackson, you cannot sit here and say this is the first time we have talked about how you all plan to engage with the community with this business being established. So I do not want community members to leave here thinking that this is foreign to you. It has been brought up. What's unfortunate is between the time that we started mediation until now, you, your husband, and Mr. Jackson have not sat down and really thought that through. To the point where you've asked me to do a settlement agreement without these things being discussed with your client. What were you going to bring to me then? I'm concerned. I'm gonna give you, let you get the mic, but I also wanna say another thing, which is concerning. The community members, including myself, are aware, because we talked in mediation in December 17th. In that time, I had mentioned to you, there were concerns about the operations occurring on the Central Avenue side. You sent an email saying that the owner of the building was aware of how it looked to be running a sticker or gifting of sorts, and that they were going to shut it down. For me to come back and find out that it was moved to the other side of the building, was you sat here in front of everybody and said, oh, well, you can't prove it. Where we've watched people walk in who are not contractors, because I watched their walking path to that door. And so what's concerning is that you all would treat the community in this way, to have us acting like we're delusional about what we're seeing, for you to ask us to come here and let you into our space without any type of hesitation and think that we're supposed to be okay with that. You want us to walk in and buzz it, or are you gonna shut that side down too now that we've blown the whistle? But my thing is that I'm going to continue to bring the community into this conversation so that you understand that we care. And it's disrespectful for you all to keep coming here operating this way. So I'm gonna stop there, but I wanted to make sure I set the record straight on a few things, because I've sat back there quietly and tried to be neutral, because I want them to be able to express their concerns from a place that is from their concerns. I have concerns. I talked to you about it in mediation, so you understand my concerns. But you cannot come into our community and continue to not have answers to questions that are just common. For your community, it's the same standard. Why would you treat us less than where you live? You would not want somebody doing this in your community without answers. Do us the same. That's what we're asking for. Treat our home like your home. You have kids. What would you want them to be able to experience walking past that space? It's not that hard to figure out. I can tell you care. You've been always very responsive and respectful. So I'm hoping that you really are hearing the concerns, because it's upsetting. I put a lot of work into making sure that you got this space, and I hope that you walk away understanding the community is not saying no to dispensaries. We're saying no to the way y'all move.
Hey, first of all, I
You
want.
want me to stay up here, or? Okay, I'll stay up here.
First of all, when I spoke to you about the side where the store was, and I told you that store would be shut down, and it was.
You need to talk to the mic so they can hear you.
Yes, and it was. Now, when you talk about the side door and the buzzers, that was never.
East Capitol, be specific.
Okay,
East Capitol.
East Capitol. We never discussed that. This the first time I'm hearing about that? This the first time I'm hearing about the East Capitol side. When I told you that store or that side would be shut down, it was. So I kept my commitment on that. This is the first time I'm hearing about some East Capitol side, a buzzer and things of that sort. Now, I have pictures of the work that's being done in there. So you just bringing this to my attention. So
Yeah, but Mr. Jackson, you sat here and said that they need to prove.
right, that's what I'm saying.
But if you don't know anything about it, why do they need to prove something you don't know nothing about?
Because, no, what I'm saying is, far as proven, if just because somebody push a buzzer and they go upstairs, you don't know if they made.
If I see somebody walk from the metro, from the Central Avenue side, walk around to the building in regular day clothes with no tools at 7 o'clock at night, I'm pretty confident they ain't going in there to do a build out. Now, whether or not you want us to walk in there, what I didn't do was walk up in there to take pictures and prove it. Maybe I should have.
Okay.
So you could put some more respect on what we're saying. But the point still remains that it's happening. And you're asking us to give you all a chance where you don't respect the community. Now, whether or not your client talks to you about what they got going on, that's beyond us. What is of our concern is what we're telling you and you respecting those concerns. I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm just letting you know, I did not appreciate you having that tone with the community when they're telling you they know what's going on.
Okay, the reason why I have that tone, let me say this, I'm representing the applicant. So I'm looking at the legality of the situation. So I'm not looking at it from the community point of view. I'm looking at as a allegation being made against my client saying that something illegal is going on inside the establishment. That was never brought to my attention. If it was something illegal, that was never informed of ACTA. If something was.
Yes, it was. Go forward though.
Okay.
After no,
Okay, did they do an investigation? Did you contact NPD?
I know that after.
So in her defense, there's only one actually investigator for APCA, and we
And you
all
know
know that. So if we know that,
Yeah.
no,
Agency. So it's not just.
oh, we know that.
Yes, it is. That's what they
We just weren't trying to put you out there, but since you want to be put out there, like,
It's just not one investigator. That's what I'm saying.
no, what it
Mr.
is that.
Perdue is the main person that is going and doing cannabis. Let's be specific. Hold on a second. For cannabis, it absolutely is one, because I've called and spoken to them. Mr. Jackson, because you are familiar with the process, you know. And so, again, you have a, hold on. You have a job. We respect that. What I don't respect is if we give you a space to come in here, to give you a shot, is the way that you handle us. If you were not aware of the Central Avenue doings, you should have just sat there and asked them after the meeting. Instead of sitting here making it say that we're making accusations and trying to make it and gaslight us. That's not a good feeling. I'm gonna let you finish because I want to be respectful. We don't have much time, and I want to make sure the audience still has an opportunity to speak. But I'm gonna have to make sure that you understand where I am with it, because I've been spending my personal time to try to work with you, and you've seen that. So I'm just disappointed that you use this space in that way. But go ahead and continue.
So why didn't you bring that to my attention?
Somebody said Mr. Jackson is lying.
Legally, you could have contacted me and say, hey, Mr. Jackson, I think.
Are you APCA? I'm obligated to contact you. You don't own the building.
You just put the license in your name like a dummy.
I'm not obligated to contact you or her. If I see something that I believe to be
I'm
illegal
sorry.
happening, I go to the
I
entity
didn't
that
know
can
her name. I
enforce.
said like a dummy.
But go ahead and finish.
No, I'm saying we established a report. So it was no disrespect to the community. I just took offense to you making an allegation that there was something illegal going on upstairs. And like I said, from a legal issue, being I'm representative, I'm not gonna say, okay, something is illegal going on, because you don't have to tell that something is illegal going on.
Talk to your clients. When you get out of this meeting, talk to your clients.
Okay.
That's my suggestion. Are there any other comments before we move back to the audience?
And then when you say give it back to the
I feel
community,
bad now.
we had spoke about that previously as far as when the strip boat, they said they had a turkey drive. And I had mentioned to you, they can have a coat drive. All these other things that was mentioned as far as the lights in the library, that's something that can be discussed.
And you should have discussed that with your client before she came here.
About the library?
Any of those things that you have discussed with me, you should have discussed with your client before she came here. Why would you send her here unprepared? Again, this is the second time we've met her, one virtually, one in person. She's unprepared. And you have not done your job. He has not done his job. So you don't get to sit here and be mad at us, be mad at him. Be mad at the owner of the shrimp boat, who does the businesses all over and knows the deal. And told me I'm different than other people. Why? Because I'm asking for accountability and transparency. Is there anything else, Mr. Jackson? Because I'm really upset that this is even going this way. I really wish that you all would have came in. I was hoping from the time that we spoke in December until now, you all were gonna come in with something. Because the thing is that, again, to reiterate, the stance is not no dispensaries. It's the way you're trying to bring this dispensary in. And how are we gonna feel any type of confidence in the way that you do business by the way you treated us up until this point? Like we're not worthy of a decent presentation. You should have talked to her and told her, hey, we need to think about this. Instead, you're sending me settlement agreements to look at as templates. Give it to her. Let her see what it looks like to do a settlement with things that actually care about the community being implemented and shown. I've done my part. Anyone from the audience?
Thank you. I live in the neighborhood and pass by often. And like some of my neighbors, I'm not opposed to a legal cannabis business. I'm not a customer, but I'd rather people have safe access to something that they want or need than unsafe, illegal access. And, but one of the things that I share with everybody else's concerns is the whole process. We didn't ever see the placards until after the dates passed, because you had them on a door with a roll down. And so that door was, the roll down was down and the placards could not be seen. People did not have the notice necessary to ask Applicant questions or even start the process early amongst the community to have a discussion or know that you wanted to start a business or who you are. So I know for my household, it's mostly the process that upsets us. And then we have questions about how the shrimp boat area is operated today. And my husband asked the question really well at one of the meetings about if what we see happening now is an example of what we'll see in the future, then it doesn't give us confidence. We are concerned. I hate to be concerned about parking, but I'm a pedestrian, and the white Mercedes with Virginia plates is often parked on the sidewalk, not just on the side of the road, but on the sidewalk. And it shouldn't be there. I don't know, do you have, you talk about your lots that you have fenced off at fences that I believe are higher than what zoning allows. And are those properties zoned for parking? Is it permitted use for parking? Because not all lots are allowed to be parking lots. And I haven't looked myself, but it's adjacent to residential property. Is it zoned residential or is it zoned parking? There's a difference on how you can use your property. And if people are expected to drive into your parking lot, whether it exists or not, off of Central Avenue, I just don't know how the flow of either vehicles or pedestrians works in a cohesive way around the property with how it's set up. We would just really like to see, as some other people have said, a coffee shop, a tea shop, a third space, so to speak, that is neighborhood friendly. We'd like to see the area to be kept clean and beautified. It is not a beautiful space. It is an icon of Washington, D.C., as everyone has said. And when I explain to people that I live in the Hillbrook neighborhood near the Benning Road metro station, and then they're like, oh, where? And it's like, we're the shrimp boat. Oh, right? Like, then people know. And then they're like, but what happened? And then people say, well, what happened to the shrimp boat? And I'm like, yeah, what happened? But it's not saying, and it's a really important corner in our neighborhood that is like, welcome to the neighborhood. And, paint a mural, plant some gardens, clean it up, keep it cleaned up, bring in more positive businesses. And if you are eventually successful to run your cannabis business, be a model for our neighborhood, please. That the way the property is now, from the corner all the way through whatever's fenced in, is not a model of positivity for aspiration. And I'll get off my soapbox now.
There's a Miss Bree.
Thank you for listening.
Just a quick question. How long have you all owned that building? Is it quite some time, right?
Can you give her the mic?
Okay. So my question is this, in that time frame, How many times have you given back to the community?
COVID time, during COVID time,
Speaking to the mic, because they can't hear you in Zoom.
we did a lot on COVID time. It was that time we started, because we opened 2016, we were struggling because it used to be a donut shop, if you remember it. We have a donut and coffee, and then the business didn't make it, and then we changed it to like an Asian chicken, and then the neighborhood didn't like it. And then that's when we started to bring, around 2019, the soul food. So it used to be seafood. And then we tried to move around things, and then it didn't work. So, and then we started with the Lido pizza. So if the community wants different things instead of Denny's, we can bring Lido, and then we brought Lido. So we were working out, and then COVID came, and then COVID time. So we lowered the price, and then we were giving away because we don't want the food to stay so people can use it. So after 6, it was everything given away. So that's the time we try to see things, because that's when we, like, you know, we stand on our ground in a business, because it's not taking from the community. It's when we give for community, we have to make sure we work out other than, you know, the outside. From the inside too, we have to make sure they like the food, the taste, the customer service, how it looks inside. So you have to see that, but you know, to make it that happen, you have to hire the proper cook, the proper cashier, the food quality, the chicken quality, or the chitlin quality. So we have to work all that with the companies. So it's not only game. So we are on the process of giving, but since the community is asking that way, I didn't see it that way. The one I heard today way. So now we know how it is. And then we have to make this kind of meeting.
So you're saying that you supporting by making sure the prices are kind of reasonable, good employees are getting hired, but that's within, right? That's what you're doing within. So when I say community, I'm talking about outside the door. I'm like, what school, what neighborhood schools do you all sponsor? What, you know, what small business do you try to help out? You know, when they're in, you know, what shelters do you know you try to reach out to and help in some way? Because you make a lot of money, right? In that community, right? So I'm just asking you, how are you giving some of those finances back to the community? How are you being a blessing to the community? Outside of your establishment, your business, your workers, you know, the food, following the safety codes and things of that sort.
Yeah, so after now we will work together, so we can see, I heard she's not here, about library, about the now you say shelter. So once I understand this way, I can be attending meeting or emailing Commissioner Nelson what will be needed, how it's processed, how to go through it. Then we can work together. I don't have any problem with that as a human. I mean, not as an establishment profitable person, but as a human, I don't have any problem if I can do it.
Okay, so I don't necessarily want it to all fall on you, but it sounds as if it's falling all on you. You doing the answer because Mr. Yeah.
I'm just representative, so I don't control the financial aspects of their business.
Oh, okay, because you still had a lot to say. Well, okay, but sister girl, Miss, I'm sorry, it's falling all on you. But I hope going forward that you all will be coherent, vigilant, responsible, and accountable for what's coming down the pipe with this business being open. And I hope that you've heard the constituency. I hope you've heard our voices. I hope you've heard our concerns, because you are given an opportunity, a golden opportunity. Because again, we could have had a different business there. But no one, I guess, looked into that property. Because there's grooming, there's pet grooming. You can make tons of money there. There's daycare, you can make tons of money there. There are nail salons, you can make tons of money there with a different type of business. But that's the business you all chose. So I just pray that you would just do what we are asking you to do and be honest and upfront.
Let me get over here and answer this question. But I want to give a couple more details because it's come up in the chat. And I want to clarify the application process, right? So the applicant has an opportunity to submit an application to open up the medical marijuana dispensary. And from there, the ANC has an opportunity to submit a letter of protest if we have an issue with it, citing I think there's about five categories, Mr. Jackson, that what concerns we may have with that dispensary being established. What you all need to know is that before they even allow the applicant to get to that point, the APCA board has already done an assessment of what they believe to be suitability. And so APCA board, when they allow that to happen, said, well, we do think this is a suitable location for a dispensary, right? From there, we put in a letter of protest, and then we go to a status hearing. In that status hearing, we talk about whether or not we have been able to discuss with the applicant any concerns and if they're able to resolve those concerns. And we attend mediations. In those mediations, you're able to either come up with a settlement agreement with the applicant on things that we would like them to do if they are to be granted the license in the community. Or we can say, no, we don't want to settle with you all and we want to go to a protest hearing. In that protest hearing, that is where we would, as a community, have an opportunity to voice concerns of why we do not believe the applicant should be granted the license. Witnesses can come in and give testimony and voice their concerns, but I have to be clear that it is not a moral standing that allows the APCA board to say yes or no. So you can't say, oh, I don't believe in marijuana, right? That's not sufficient. It does need to fall within those suitability requirements. And some of the things that have been voiced today could be valuable insight to the APCA board. And then the defendant also, or the licensee, has an opportunity to also voice their side and why they feel like they are a suitable business for our community. From there, it is up to the board to decide whether or not the license would be granted. However, if they do grant the license to the applicant, we cannot backtrack and say, okay, we're ready to do a settlement, right? If we do not establish that settlement prior to that protest hearing, that's it, right? And they will not be holding to us. Now, the APCA board could say, you know what, we're gonna grant this license, but we heard the concerns of the community and we want you to address those things as we grant this license. They could do that, right? That is an option, but the actual settlement agreement is no longer on the table if we take it to a protest hearing. So I do need to be clear about our next steps in this process because the license has not been granted. All right, this is us having a conversation about how to proceed forward to say, okay, let's go into a settlement. And, you know, community comes together, tells me what you want me to put in there. And they'll say yay or nay if they can do it. Or we go to the protest hearing and you sign up as a witness or whatever you would like to do. And you voice your concerns and we go from there. All right, those are the options. The other piece that the applicant did not mention, but I will make sure that I mention is the hours of operation. The applicant wants to operate to the public Sunday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Okay. They also, the nature of their operation will be cannabis flowers, concentrates, a line of edible products, and home delivery services. That's what they are trying to offer at the establishment. All right, it wasn't mentioned today by them, so I'm going to mention it so that you all have a clear picture of what they are trying to do as far as operations in this space. Any questions? I think we had a question over here. Did you want to? 7 days a week.
Yes, hello, my name is Evie Washington, I'm a resident in this area. And my question is, why your location? Because just for what you have had operating in there, had not been operating in a very professional way. And there's really no space, nothing to make you feel comfortable and safe being in there. I have tried to many times in many services here. You spend more money on the parking ticket than you do on the food because, there's no place to park. And if you're gonna do something like put a medical marijuana place in there, you're not gonna have people that are able to walk from different places into there. You're not gonna have people being pushed around from side to side trying to get to where they want to go. And with medical, marijuana, it needs to be somewhat personalized. Everybody don't need to know what the doctor's written for your prescription. So I don't see how that's gonna be a good fit there. And what you do, and when you say that you reach out to the community, I've been in this community long before you all been down there, and ever since you opened up, I haven't been able to get anything for the community from around here. And from you all and support, I've come in and asked, but no support. I kind of even complain sometimes about having to wait for a while and just to come in to buy from you, not even asking for you to do support the community. And that's not even heard. So could you tell me how you're gonna make it be more transparent, more easy to get in and out, and how you're gonna communicate with us so we know what's gonna be going on at all times? We don't wanna be kept in the dark.
Thank you. So for the parking, we work on the parking, the gate and everything, so it will be soon be open once we work on the grass side. And then for your voice to be heard, you said you asked before.
Yes.
So, okay, this is my first time hearing, because every time there is a complaint or anything, we don't have the website. So the employee will tell us they're gonna take a number, cell phone number, and then they say, this customer wants to call you back, or to call them, this is the number they wanna call you. So we try to contact them depending their concern. But I never get your number, maybe it was misplaced or anything, so I can leave my cell phone number and my email with Commissioner
Nelson.
Nelson, and then you can reach me whichever way it is, so we can work it out, because nice to meet you all. So we can do that. And then I'm not leaving the community in a dark spot. And then we blocked the parking lot. The parking lot used to be open before. And then we made a big wall because people start cutting and crossing out. And then there was a lot of parking, and a lot of, in that parking area, there's, drug things, people park, they sell there, a lot of crime happen, and then customer wants park there because they're scared, and cars stolen, stuff has been stolen, even mine. So that's why we make a big wall. So now we're trying to clear out the place to look good. So we make a metal gate to keep it open daytime, and then work with the enforcement. So if it is not customer's vehicle, it will be towed. So through this kind of action, we're gonna work out.
I think you ought to do some things to beautify, like someone.
Yeah, yeah, I heard.
You know, landscaping, plants, paint the place, make it look appealing.
Yeah,
Don't make it look like a place that you hang out and you do
yeah,
things that you shouldn't be doing. Make it look like a place, like a real
Open.
business.
yeah, okay.
That would help. It would just look a lot nicer. Like I said, I'm not here to stop your business. I'm not against what you do. I just want it to be beautiful. I mean, to be welcoming.
Cause right now, I don't have a microphone, but I can just say, I'm the commissioner right across the street from 7F, I'm 7F03. And when I came by there the other night, just the little corner store that was right at the end before you go into the restaurant, it's a mess. It's a banner just hanging, it just looks trifling, and it looks like nobody cares. And just, if you don't care, my thing is, I'll go get a ladder and rip it down, but it's not my property, but the way it looks, just from the Benham Road side, it just looks displeasing. It's, that just doesn't look, when you leave, it's daytime, just go past your little corner thing that's right beside the restaurant, just look at it and say, okay. I can, it just.
So
it
you're
looks-
saying the leader side?
No, just not
The
legal
whole
side.
building,
No,
around the whole
but-
building.
Hold on. But the whole
Yeah,
building,
your property.
the whole building needs love. It needs a paint job. Just so, even if it's, I'm gonna just be on the LGBT color. Who cares? It just gives it something on that corner where they can, people can come say, no, look what they did to the shrimp bowl. Right now, it's just like people say, you come by, it's a legacy, a landmark, but it doesn't have a presence right now because it's more of a dead zone. Even the restaurant, it needs to be well lit, you know, just to do some more lights out there, so it doesn't get, you know, like one of the kind of like Benham Market, what we had to do, what I had to do at Benham Market, is I had to get them to light it up, give some brightness, so that way it keeps people, you know, from hanging around in front of your property. It keeps the riffraff, you know. But so you can't even get into your property sometimes because you have to go through people to stand at the door. So I would definitely, you know, as soon as you leave from here, just take a look at the building and just think about the paint beautification. And then that process will probably help you move smoothly into the 420 because it'll already have a pleasant appeal.
Set that business in your neighborhood and see what, if you like that look in your neighborhood. We can do it.
A question I got going back to the parking. That area behind the shrimp boat, that's zone commercial, correct?
Yeah, this gets
Could you build like a parking, like a 2-level parking garage to help mitigate that situation right there?
How is it?
Could you build a parking garage, like 2 levels? Say for instance, like, the CVS on in Georgetown, they have a 2 level. Or they have a level where you go, you know, park.
It's not in my plan yet, so.
Hopefully that would be an idea.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Did you want to say the history part and then it's Reverend Green?
Okay. I was just gonna say also too, what I feel like is important here, that people lose sight of.
Speak into the mic a little bit.
What I feel like also too, that we lose sight of is knowing your history and knowing preservation. So you need to know exactly why the shrimp boat was built right there. What is its history? How long has it been there? All of those great things. Because before you start adding things onto it, you need to also make sure that you're remembering the other things too. Include everyone that may be from that past in the neighborhood that may not be readily available for change.
My final question for real. How often do you get around to your property? Cause you seem a little bewildered that. From the outside. So often do you come up to look at your business?
Good to be.
Take care of it, you know, and make sure it's being taken care of, cause you seem so. Like,
This your floor right here.
What day?
I like the food.
Okay, what day?
I don't come often, but I had to come.
I'm working there. 4 times a week. I'll be there 4 times a week.
Okay,
So you might not see me at the cashier or at the front door or anywhere, so I'm always at the back doing.
all right, okay, I just was concerned, you was kind of bewildered, like, you know, like, I don't know why they talk about my business, but it, you know, there's nothing wrong with the outside of my business. That's why I was just asking.
All right, any other questions? Listen, you've been sitting in that seat for hours and change, and I know it's not easy, especially when you're trying to come up with something that would bring something to the community. And I just want to be clear that, you know, we didn't bring you here to attack you, right? I think a lot of people here are very passionate because this is our community, and unlike you, we have to live here. You get to put your business here, but we have to live around it once you're gone for the day. After 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., whatever time you leave, I know it's from 9 to 9, but after those hours were still there. And so the purpose of the meeting is for us to make sure that you understand what our concerns are, again, beyond what I've expressed, but to also let the community express those things because they also live there, and give you an opportunity to respond to those things. I know you don't have a lot of answers right now, but my hope is that you can talk to your husband as well as Mr. Jackson and come up with things that are viable solutions. Or if the community chooses to go to the protest hearing, then we will do so. But my hope is that we come to some sort of resolve where you understand that we care and you care as much as we do. Because that's what we want to see in our community. I want to open it back over to you in case you had any remarks. Okay, let me take this last one and then we'll let you close it out if you would like. And then don't forget Lieutenant Anderson is still here if you have any more questions for MPD.
Thank you. I just want to ask, so in wrapping up, where do we go from here after today? What's our next step? What's on the horizon?
That's a good question. As I mentioned, we have a couple of options. So the next option is I can go back to mediation with the strategy of us doing a settlement agreement and implementing the concerns that were voiced here within that agreement. I've also recorded the meeting so I can go back and listen to what the community has said as far as the chat as well. And look at that and see what elements of the chat is comments as well as in-person audience we can implement into the settlement agreement and see if Ms. Leon and Mr. Jackson and I can come up with something. And if they're open, we can come back to the community with those solutions, or you can entrust us to just do it and then go forward from there. The other option is that we go to a protest hearing. We say absolutely not. We don't trust that they will do what they said they're gonna do. And we would prefer for the APCA board to hear these concerns and make a decision based off of the community's response to engagement with the licensee and applicant. That's our options. Am I wrong, or is that it, Mr. Jackson?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Basically, when it comes to a protest hearing, certain things cannot be included into a protest hearing, like the facade, the makeup of the building. The protest issues will be on peace, order, and quiet. So anything outside of that.
And parking.
And parking, right. So
Sanitation.
right, that's under peace, order, and quiet. So anything outside of that cannot be put into a settlement agreement. So you can't say, I want this person to fix up the building. Or now he can elect to do that. But you can't put that in agreement saying, I want flowers planted outside. I want this done outside. Because the board don't have no control over how a building looks or their financial position to make them do something to the outside. Now, being that, the good part about it is, being that her husband owned the building, in my opinion, speaking with him, he would be apt to enhance the property. Because it would be in his best interest because his wife is associated with it. A lot of times you don't have property that's owned by the same person. So that would be in the favor. And listening to some of your concerns, I'm confident that they would be addressed. But as far as coming with a settlement agreement, trash could be put in it, loitering could be put in it. And one thing that we didn't talk about, there will be armed security because that's a requirement to have that type of license. You have to have armed security. So that's one of the things that's required by APCA in order to get the license. And you cannot enter the establishment because they will be patting you down outside. You have to have ID before entering. So if you don't have a medical marijuana card, and if you have any type of weapon or something, you cannot get inside the establishment. You have to be buzzed in. So they would have 2 security personnel, one downstairs, pat people in or warning them, making sure they have the proper medical cannabis card. And then upstairs, they would have armed security. And statistically, as the lieutenant was saying, a lot of medical, I don't know if y'all visited a lot of medical cannabis locations, but they pretty much clean, and there's not a lot of loitering outside because most people don't want to go through the headache of getting a medical marijuana card because you have to give confidential information to get one of those cards. So a lot of people would deal with the street person instead of going up inside and giving that type of information to get it, because you gotta give a social security number, you gotta give a copy of your ID, so it's basically confidential information you gotta release. So you just can't walk off the street and go inside there, so a lot of people, in my opinion, won't go in there to purchase, medical marijuana.
So I just want to reiterate a couple of things that were just said, and then Mrs. Leon, close out with you. It's important to note that a lot of the concerns you have to do with the actual structure of the building and the grounds. And, as Mr. Jackson has mentioned, we cannot put that in a settlement. That is more so, we talk to the business owner because she is not the owner of that building, and hope that he will do what he says he's gonna do because he wants to establish this business within his property, right? But there is nothing that we can do to enforce that, right? That's us establishing rapport and hoping that they operate in good faith. All right, so I just want to keep that in mind. But as they mentioned, it is good that we are, a lot of the time with these dispensaries, we do not have access to the owners of the buildings. So we are in a unique situation where we do have access to the owner. It's just understanding whether or not the community trusts the owner to do what they say they're going to do in response to our concerns. I will say this one piece, the two things that I did ask to be remedied have been remedied since the last time that I visited the property, which was the fence that was protruding into the sidewalk and the tree branches and things hovering over the sidewalk as well on the Central Avenue side. So he did respond. Now, you can come to your own conclusions as to why. You know, I would like to think that he did it because he was aware that they were concerns and did it. But we move forward from there. All right.
In addition to the security, they will have cameras all around the establishment, and they will be operating 24 hours with 30-day record time. And also, they're required to have what they call an incident log. So if something happened outside on public space, they can't really intervene. They can contact MPD, but they can't intervene on public space.
Will you give MPD, I'm sorry. Will you give MPD access to your cameras?
Of course, they entitled to have access to the cameras as well as ACCA. So if anything happened, they have to have accessibility, and they have to have that information within 48 hours.
Okay.
I got one quick question. Will your place be ADA compliant?
No, now, let me
Does it have to
actually,
be?
it doesn't have to. Now, the delivery portion.
One second, let me make sure they could hear in the Zoom. The question was, will the facility be ADA compliant? Go ahead.
No, so it doesn't have to be, because there's steps inside of there. And you have to walk upstairs, but on the delivery portion, so if someone wanted to make a purchase, they can do it online and they would deliver the cannabis to them on outside. So they would bring it to them and deliver it to them. So to their home or to wherever they want.
All right, Mrs. Leon.
And once again, on the delivery side, you still would have to have a medical cannabis card. So you just can't make a purchase, and when the delivery comes, your card have to be registered.
Did you have any final remarks or anything? No. Okay, we will make sure we send out the contact information for Mrs. Leon. We want to thank you for coming out and answering a lot of tough questions. I know it's not easy to sit there and have to have a lot of people coming at you with a lot of questions and concerns. But we hope that this is just an understanding that we care. And we want to support in any way we can with the understanding that we want to collectively work with you with input and engagement. So with that, I want to just close out this meeting and thank everyone for their time for being here, and everyone have a great rest of your Saturday.
And there's some pictures available if y'all want to see what the inside look like and the upstairs.